So podcasting, right? I reckon in the last 3-4 years has really become part of the vernacular, like across the board. Like I reckon maybe 5 years ago, I was still having to be like, oh, it's like internet radio, but it's not internet, it's not radio, you know, and explain it to people. Really kind of risen to, like I say, to the common zeitgeist, if you will. But like, you've been in it longer, obviously, right? I've been in it longer. I remember when it was really the Wild West, and there was some very what would now be small shows, which were huge because they've been pumping out content and getting out there. What changes have you seen? Because I know back then, like I needed to find someone like you, an audio nut who loved it, who was also smart enough with tech to be able to get this thing to magically appear on Tinternet. But what changes?
On the World Wide Web,
on the www. No more snail mail. But over the last 3-4 years, it's become easy. You can get Libsyn, you can get Podbean, you can get all these different podcasting hosting things, and kind of like upload, grab your recording studio, and get a show up. So, what changes have you seen have happened with this kind of like proliferation of more podcasting?
I think the biggest change for me, which I'm actually delighted to see, because it was so frustrating back in 2004, 2005, when you were trying to put content out there and you had to rely on someone actually having the inclination to download this program called iPodder and connect, if they happen to have an MP3 device, plug it in via USB and work out how to do that. Like, you think it's hard getting people to listen to your bloody shows now? Try going back then.
No idea.
It was ridiculous, and you found that you had to actually, instead of like now where you can put a link out, and it's a link that will probably, I'm sure you do as well, Jay, you're probably aware of these smart links. So this is something that didn't exist 10 years ago, where now they've created these smart links whereby you put a link out. Chartable's one, Podkite is another. So you send one link out, and then what that does is whatever device they're on at the time, whether it's Android or iOS, it will automatically select, first of all, the device, but then their favorite app that they listen to, and you can choose it. Amazing. Some do it automatically for the one that you most commonly listen to, but others will give you a choice.
Yeah.
But if you imagine, like, the most complicated thing you have to put online now on your website is listen to our show, here's the link, right? And even that is complicated for a lot of people. But imagine back then you had to literally stick instructions for how to listen to your show, download the MP3s through this third-party app that they had to then download to their Windows or Mac. Oh my! It's just that for me is really. I'm so grateful to Apple. I mean, they come in for a lot of stick, and certainly recently when they overhauled their Apple Podcasts platform, and it's not great, it's not perfect, but look, they are still human beings, and they've made a massive balls up. But because they're Apple, they don't want to admit it. Of course they don't. But we've got to remember, we wouldn't have this space if it wasn't for Apple.
Absolutely not.
So that's the message I like putting out is, give Apple a break. They will sort this out. It will go back to where it was before, innovating and not sort of like hitting 300 buttons and going, please show my episode.
And if Spotify feels better right now, good news. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. Apple are going to come back with a vengeance to try and, so they're not going to want to lose everyone else to a different platform, right?
Exactly.
You literally reminded me of something I completely forgotten about. When we released our our first decent, a real big show, How to Write a Tune, many years ago. Actually, what got us into blogging was Tony, who you met beforehand, my co-founder and producer of the show, had to write out this probably 2 pages of A4 about how you would listen to the show. So we had a website and we were like, well, we'll put this blog on it and this is how you watch it. And it was linked here if you want to get it on the street, but then you got to do the thing and desktop, that's a whole nother page. Like now it works, right? It happens. You click on the button and you're like, oh, I'm listening to it.
Yeah, and you had to hope that your Moonfruit account allowed for an embed code for you to put your stuff on there in the first place, because otherwise you'd have to set up a separate website for your podcast, and try and find the plugins for it. So
these podcasters today, they don't know they're born. They don't know they're born.
Oh, they don't. Get out of here, you whippersnappers. you serials, you TEDx talks. Get away with you.
Back when I wanted to release a podcast, had to walk 30 miles in the snow, no shoes. just to get it
exactly. I remember when I had to hard code my meta tags. What?
I love the fact,
what was that?
I love the fact that Tony is rolling around the floor right now, and there's a lot of people who are like, meta tags.
Oh, it's something that Libsyn does for you. Don't worry, it's all good.
It ain't that now. It's all out of the box, and that is the thing. Is it's allowed so many more shows to come out. It's so often I'll find different shows and be like, huh. So like they're just releasing that, huh? Like it's not professionally produced, or like it's not particularly produced, but they're getting content out and they kind of get the ideas out of it. A lot of people talk to me about podcasting, right? Especially businesses, as most of what we work with tends to be kind of B2B. And first thing everyone's always worried about is the time. Like, what benefit is this really going to be and the time? I know that like one of the biggest benefits for me has been this. Like I get to meet people and genuinely have a conversation with them that isn't based around like, hi Neil, currently we're selling for no, right? We're not having that conversation, vice versa. You're not trying to sell me, no one's on the back. Like I'm having an open chat with someone and actually get to know and learn. Like that's the biggest thing for me that podcasting has brought is I've learned tons. I've changed, my personality has changed from speaking to so many personalities and maybe seeing some things I didn't like, which maybe I might have seen in the mirror, or seeing some things I wanted to do, which I wasn't doing. But when people say it to you, like, you know, what's the point, right? What's the point of this podcast? What's the point of me trying to podcast? How do you go about answering that for them?
It just depends what they want to get out of it. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, there's that answer. I mean, that question has probably 10 answers conservatively, you know, on over a coffee.
Yeah.
It's such a huge question. What do you want to get out of it? Because if you know why you want to do it and what that looks like to you when that works. And for some people, look, different people have a different motivation. Some people, it's all about the credibility. It's all about the fame, you know, because let's face it, fame is a relative term, okay? And I come from a background where someone could, you know, do a sex tape and the next thing they're doing evenings on Heart FM. You know, that's literally, I'm exaggerating, obviously. That's a very US thing. That's not really happened in the UK much. I mean, Amanda Holden, I guess, would probably be the closest to that.
But that's true.
But, you know, it was literally. I mean, Charlie Dimmock, you know, that says it all. But, you know, for me, it's a case of you can get out of it what you put in, but you got to put it in. And I think the biggest challenge for me, usually, and I'm quite lucky because I tend to attract the right kind of clients for me, which is usually someone that isn't looking to get their show monetized from day one with sponsorship and advertising and that sort of stuff, because we both know that's not the win. That isn't. You can do it, and you can spend the money to make that happen, but it doesn't have the LTV that actually doing it for the right reasons create. When I say that, it's about putting your brand out there and building that connection longer term. You know, the analogy that I like to use is, imagine you go to a networking event in person, okay? And at that networking event, you want to sell cars, all right? So you drive your car to the networking event. You can't get the car inside. The car's outside. So your job at the networking event is to convince enough people that they need to step out of the networking event where they're trying to sell to then go and have a look at your car that you're trying to sell. How much success do you think you're going to have when you've got a free open bar, some nibbles, and a bunch of other people that you know will spend money with you? Yeah. So it's like that, in that if you go to the networking event, but you bring your car consistently, but you don't say to people, come and have a look at my car. You talk about your car. You get into conversations about your car. People turn around to you and they say, oh, so what do you drive? It's going to happen because that's what happens in conversation. Someone talks about they're taking their car to get its MOT. Oh, it's a nightmare. I'm really in the market for a new car. Oh, it just so happens, actually, I've got my car parked outside. Do you fancy taking it for a spin? It might take you 6 months to get to that conversation. But the point is, unless you've got the car ready to roll, that conversation can't happen. And this is where I go with podcasting with people, is that if you're expecting to put one episode of your podcast out and then suddenly sell courses or what, I hate that. I don't like doing that anyway, to be honest, because you're not building that relationship with the customer, so the customer's always going to be dissatisfied. But if you're building that relationship over time, you're not going to need to sell courses because people are going to want to have a relationship with you and work with you, which means that you're then building real value between you both. And they're going to be much more inclined to shout about what you do because you're actually demonstrating to them, oh, yeah, actually, this crap works. There is a reason for this. And, when you email me on a Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, Neil, saying, I haven't had your intro and outros recorded yet. Now I know why, because it works.